What's up, co-reporters, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we've got a very special Love is Blind Season 5 reunion recap because I am joined by none other than my friend, Kempire from the Kempire YouTube channel. Kempire, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me because, there's certain shows I don't get a chance to talk about at length with someone else. So I was so happy when you said, watch it and then let's talk about it. I was like, all right, I'm ready.
And you are the best for doing that because, guys, Kempire has been watching Big Brother. Was it season 25 that Taylor won, or 15 or
24. And I'm watching season 25 right now. And I watched season 23.
He is so incredible on that, you guys. If you want some commentary on Big Brother or any other reality TV or pop culture, Kempire is your guy. Make sure to head over to the Kempire YouTube channel. I've got links to his channel in the title of this video, of course, and in the description box as well, okay? So let's get into this recap for the Love is Blind Season 5 reunion. I just want to know straight away, Kempire, how would you rate the episode on a scale from 1 to 10 and why?
Well, when you mentioned that we were going to rate it, immediately 7 came into my head, and I rewatched it a second time, and I feel as if it was sort of anticlimactic, for me, because with all the drama that's stirred online and what happened during the season, everyone kept on saying it's a messy season, it's a messy season. It was a messy season, but the reunion sort of fell flat for me. So I'm probably leaning more towards a 6 than a 7.
Okay. And I'm right up there with you. I gave it a 6 because of the same reasons. In fact, we have Uche who didn't show up. Last year we had Jackie and Josh who didn't show up in person, but they still had a specialized one-on-one segment. But Uche was a big part of the kind of Lydia, Milton, Aaliyah story, and he just wasn't there. And that just left this weird kind of hole in the entire thing. Do you have any theories as to why Uche might have not showed up?
I don't need a theory. He came across as psychotic and he didn't want to answer for the psychotic behavior that he was doing offline. He didn't have a good relationship with any of the guys. He didn't have a good relationship with any of the women. So he knew if he came, he would be the central focus and he probably would be made the villain, even though he is the villain.
I agree with that too. And I think Lydia, she kind of let it slip during this reunion when Aaliyah came out and confronted her. She let it slip that she and Uche had actually both talked to each other about the casting process, which is something they denied in the pod. So do you think he was scared that she was going to drop the beans and all that would pop out?
I think he was scared of a lot of things coming out. And I think probably some of the things that could have come out did not come out during the reunion for whatever reason. I mean, that's Nick Lachey and Vanessa. I was like, we would dig if we were there. Like, well, what about this? We heard this.
Exactly.
But I feel he was worried about that coming out, but also more stuff coming out. And also being the villain. He's already been made the villain on social media. He didn't want this reunion to be something, for people confronting him about all the issues that he's had. Because he's had issues with everyone, even Izzy.
Absolutely. And that surprised me because I didn't see him having any issues with Izzy in the pods. And I kind of felt like, Nick, Vanessa, what are you guys doing? Here he is dropping some tea and they don't follow up. Did you hear any rumblings about why that might have been?
I think Izzy said during the reunion that he felt he also was blindsided by the fact that Uche was talking ish about him to the other people. So I think maybe that's part of the reason why they didn't dig a little bit deeper was because everybody was shocked by it. They're like, was there any rhyme or reason to Uche having issues with Izzy?
Well, exactly. I was curious about that too. I don't remember seeing anything, but that's one thing that really bothered me about this reunion. They did a great job in the season 3, I want to say, or is it 4, with the Zeneb and Cole, with the oranges, the little cuties and stuff. They rolled the tapes on that. I would have loved to see them roll the tapes on Uche talking bad about Izzy and the beef between Aaliyah and Lydia. Remember, they had this big blow up fight.
Yeah, that's on camera.
Right. Where was it? Why didn't they show the footage?
Where was that? That literally was in the pods. So you're not telling me that wasn't caught on camera. Right. I want to see the fight.
It felt lazy. It really did. There were so many things that were just missing.
You're right, though. I didn't even think about that till you pointed it out. Because
Mhm.
I was curious when she said they had a confrontation in the pods, her and Aaliyah, and I was like, well, Aaliyah said it to about her and Lydia. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, so eventually we're going to see this, right? And we didn't see it.
Super disappointing because I want to know how you, as someone wanting to get engaged to someone, say, if he doesn't propose to me, you can have him back. Was it a joke? Was it sincere? And then Lydia's FU could have been a joking FU or a real FU. Like, I wanted the nuances to
Yeah.
show.
Lydia, they made, I mean, she really came across. And here's the thing, I'm always like taken aback when they say, oh, it's been like a year and a half. I'm like, are they simultaneously doing these seasons together?
They
Because I'm
are.
like, how does all this time pass? And I feel like because of this whole love triangle square situation with Milton, Lydia, Uche, and Aaliyah, I can't even look at Lydia and Milton's relationship with the beauty that it should be because
Yeah.
they have survived a year and a half together. But I've been looking at Lydia with the side eye since this season. Like, I feel like Uche and you were in on something.
Yeah, but it's just so hard to wrap your mind about around what it would be. Because now that she's admitted that they both talked about the casting thing, it makes extra no sense that Uche didn't recognize her very distinct voice and accent in the pods. Like, what were they doing? Why did she want to start over with him, but he didn't want to start over with her? Why did they omit their relationship? Like, I can't. I'm mind blown.
Yeah. I feel like they could have digged a little bit deeper into figuring out what that was, because even her
Yeah.
explanation during the reunion, Lydia's explanation, it
Mhm.
didn't make 100% sense to me.
Yeah.
Milton really came across as very mature. He came across very different than he did during the season. And I was like,
Mhm.
good for him. And I'm glad that the relationship worked. But like I said, it's hard for me to look at their relationship and be like, oh, that's fantastic. Look how far they've come. And they've come a long way, a year and a half. Because
Yeah.
initially watching this, I was like, this is not real. She just wants to get married. She doesn't
Yeah.
care who it is. She wants to have a connection. She doesn't care who it is. So I didn't believe in their relationship. But I'm like, a year and a half later, that's just a lot. I mean, they could still get a divorce in a couple of years. I'm not wishing that, but you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
It's true. But you know what? When I think of them, and I was messaging with my sister about this as we were watching it, but it did look like there was a certain love there and like a respect and like a happiness there. And it
Hmm.
surprised me because throughout the season, I always felt like their relationship was very negative and disrespectful, actually, with all of the age comments, the comments about her English language skills, her kind of mothering him. And like, remember, he couldn't even pop open the champagne at the wedding without her snatching it and saying, "You don't know how to, let me do it." He couldn't cut the cake without her saying, "You don't know how to do that." She couldn't speak, a sentence without him saying, "Your English is terrible." It's just so negative.
You
And
know
I
what? Some
wonder if,
relationships like that work.
oh God, I feel like I'm too weak for a relationship like that. Like I can't be attacked constantly.
But remember, we have to keep in mind we are seeing all of these moments because editors have decided we want to highlight these particular moments. We're not
Yeah.
seeing their full relationship. And like I said, and I'm glad they pointed this out that it's a year and a half later and they're still so madly in love. And hearing Milton speak on how much he respects her,
Mhm.
that kind of switched it up for me. But I'm still giving Lydia the side eye because I just don't trust her or Uche.
Yeah. Do you
Off,
think something
off.
can happen?
Well, you like her and Uche?
Yeah, because you're saying I don't trust her or Uche. What do you mean you don't
I
trust her
think they
or
both are
Uche?
are two. They're cut from the same coin or the cloth,
Yeah.
whatever it's called.
Mhm.
I feel like they're very similar. There's a reason why they were dating each other. I do
Mhm.
believe that there was some sort of plot and plan to get on this show. I also believe that first of all, can we talk about when he said that these girls that I'm talking to or friends with on Instagram are telling me that you're watching their stories? Do they have like one or two people watching your stories? Because how do you know this particular woman and this woman knows your Uche is watching your stories? For me, that never made sense. That never
True,
made
I
sense.
like
But the other part of her driving up past his house and taking a picture of the front of the house, I see you. What?
that.
I look at
Yeah.
her, even the things that she was saying to Ali. I'm like, I'm rambling.
Mhm.
Even
I
the
love
things
it.
that she was saying to Aaliyah in the pods,
Mhm.
when she told he told me, she's like, "Oh my god, you know," and then she started rambling all these things. It was questionable behavior. I'm being kind with this
Absolutely.
description.
But now we find out at the reunion that Uche exhibited pretty much similar behavior. Milton was saying Uche wouldn't stop asking me about Lydia. I remember we watched in one of the pod episodes, like all the guys were at the table. Uche was asking Milton questions about his connection with Lydia, and he shut it down. He said he didn't want to speak about it, and so Milton said that that was happening a lot. Do you think that Uche likes Lydia more than he's letting on? Like, what is it? Does he get off on making her look crazy,
Based
or?
off the reunion, I think we got to see another side of Uche that we didn't necessarily see in the edit during the season. But I do believe that they're very similar in a lot of ways, based off the behavior we saw of her in the episodes
Yeah.
versus what we saw of him a little bit later on, and then what we heard of him later on. I don't know. Like at first, I was like, okay, Uche's okay. He seems like an okay guy, but then this is why I always remind people you're watching an edited show. An editor is sitting there deciding the picture that they want to create, the story that they want to create for what you're watching. And when people say, "Oh, editing," you can't blame editing. Oh no, you can. Because there's so much context that can make you change on what you feel about a person. Like Uche. Like I think in the beginning of the season, we were sort of like, okay, Uche, I'm not too sure, but you don't seem as bad. They made Lydia look a lot worse than they did him in the original first few episodes.
I agree. And I do wonder why that is. Because, like you said, they're extremely similar. Even hearing that Uche was texting everybody these messages like, hey, if you want to talk about the way I spoke about you on the thing, hit me up. He sent that to both ladies. Then he hit up Milton a couple of times. Milton said he never responds when Uche texts him, but Uche keeps reaching out. Like, it sounds like he too is a little off. Would you say?
I'd block him.
Yeah.
Don't hit me up. We're not friends.
Exactly. Like, I don't know. It seems like he too has like a boundary issue when it comes to people. And to be honest with you, I feel like Uche doesn't read social situations that well. And one thing that really bothered me,
like Lydia?
and that's no, it's true, she doesn't. But like something about him and the way he and Izzy feel so comfortable yelling at women, especially like in public like that, just grosses me out. Right.
That was quite telling about Izzy's character.
And like he did at least apologize at the reunion. And what's her name? Johnie. She acknowledges that Izzy had apologized like a year ago after it happened and everything, but that Stacy never apologized. Did that make you look at Stacy any differently?
Not really, because I kind of got where Stacy was coming from when it comes to Johnie. Izzy a little bit different. But no, I didn't expect Stacy to apologize. And you noticed Stacy still did not apologize, even at the reunion. I don't blame her. Like, here's the thing. I don't love Stacy. I didn't love her personality. She's felt a little like standoffish to a lot of people, but I think that's who she is. But despite that, I think once you break down that wall, she's probably like a really good person. So I kind of got where she was coming from. She's like, I didn't come here to make friends. I came here to find the love of my life. So I can kind of respect that. I wonder where her sign is.
We're gonna have to look that up.
I always want to know.
We will look that up because you know what? It always tells so much about a person. I know there are people who don't believe it in it or whatnot, but I love it. Anytime I'm at a party or at a social setting, I want to know what people's signs are too. You guys. If you're just joining me, I am here with Kempire from the Kempire YouTube channel. He covers all things pop culture, reality TV, even you cover like some regular news as well, right? If something is big enough, you're going to be covering it. So if you're into all that sort of stuff, make sure to check out his YouTube channel. I've got a link to it in the description box down below. It's also tagged in the title of this video. Please make sure to go ahead and support his channel. He's super consistent. He uploads every day, and he has such thoughtful, funny, and incredible commentary. Kempire also has a wonderful podcast that I'm addicted to.
I have to create merch for that one.
I am obsessed. It's a really, really good podcast, you guys. He's always, one thing every time I put on your podcast, I'm like, all right, here we go. Let me hear about the dental health. Then we'll get into the tea. So dental health and celebrity tea is how I think about Kempire. It's really, really awesome, you guys. Make sure to check him out. And if you're enjoying our collab, make sure to give a thumbs up to this video as well. So it continues, my videos and Kempire's videos and creators like ours get pushed to your algorithm as well. Now, I want to talk a bit more about Stacy. Is she that bad, or is there a hinge of like jealousy when it comes to critiques of her? I feel like people hate that she's got money. I feel like that's like the root of a lot of it.
And that's probably the best thing that I try to do before I talk about a show. I really don't pay attention too much to what social media is saying about the people. I don't
Mhm.
search it out. If it shows up on my timeline, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Especially with Love Is Blind, because I think it was last season. It was so like volatile on social media from last season, and like
Mhm.
they had their pitchforks out for Vanessa Lachey, and
Yep.
look, she's back.
Back with a vengeance. And to answer your question from earlier, they are shooting these seasons in tandem. So the one with Deep T, I believe it's season 2, and the one with Zainab, people were like, "Oh, Zainab, she copied Deep T's kind of like I'm walking away, I choose me moment."
Mm.
But then it turns out no, they were shot at the same time. So Zainab had no idea what Deep T did. So this one was shot in tandem with the season that we watched prior as well.
I was like, they had to, because there's no way. Like a year and a half ago, I'm like, wait a
Yeah.
minute. Like the math is not mathing right now, but yeah, that makes complete sense. That makes complete sense.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Now, there was Aaliyah who popped out at the reunion. Aaliyah and Taylor, they kind of got their little like, what is it? Phoenix moments, right? Like they pop up from the ashes. They look absolutely gorgeous, the two of them. How do you feel about the way that they were treated and their storylines were handled in the reunion?
Taylor, I don't know. She seemed a little angry when she came
Very.
out.
Yeah.
I was just
Mhm.
like you cut things off early. It's not like you went all the way to the altar and he said no. She seemed very angry, and they had not even seen each other or spoken to each other since then. And it's
Mhm.
not like he was so verbose in his confessionals that I could understand. Like he was saying all kind of crap about her. He really wasn't saying much. He wasn't saying much at all. And I really called it. I had talked a little bit about this on my podcast, and I said that I think the reason why JP was a little bit different. I think he's socially awkward. The fact that he says that his friends are sort of the ones that initiate dates for him in flirting with people. I was like, oh, he's socially awkward.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I kind of understood. They went from the pod where you don't see anyone. You can only hear the producers. There aren't any cameramen and things like that in the room with you. So now you're in person with this person. You're so used to your friends sort of being like your wingman. So he's socially awkward, and I don't know if they would have gotten through all of that, but she just seemed so angry, and I was just so like taken aback by it. I was like, I understand it didn't work out for you. You wanted it to work out for you, but she just seemed so angry at him, like he was Uche.
I agree. And what I thought at first was like, maybe she got over it, but then like watching it play out on TV and this man like say the things he said about her face and like she's
Yeah,
fake and she's kicked up and
yeah.
stuff, like probably re-triggered her. And just like knowing
Mm.
that the whole world saw it, maybe it affected her, like, in school because she works with children, like, like maybe children were saying weird things to her about being fake or kicked up. I don't
Oh,
know.
think
You know
about
what
that.
I mean? Right. Like I got that vibe from her because it was true. She came with a bone to pick. Like Aaliyah came out a lot more calmly. Like, she
Yeah.
wanted to address things with Lydia, but she was a lot more calm about it.
Yeah, yeah, and I felt for Aaliyah, and Aaliyah said that she had ended up dating Uche after the pods, and she said she got barbecue Uche, not the pods Uche.
Ra-ta-ta-ta,
I'm
Uche.
like, oh God. He was, I don't know what's the word. People love to throw them around the world's narcissists and things like that. But he
Yeah.
kind of gives me like something that's clinically off.
Well, that's what I mean. I feel like he doesn't read social things and he doesn't emote. Do you ever notice he yells at people and whatnot? His face will be straight. Like there was that scene where he's
Mm,
yelling at Aaliyah for leaving. His face is straight. When he's
mhm,
yelling at Miriam at the barbecue, face is straight. So I do think that there's an emotional disconnect somewhere there. And it's
mm.
funny you bring that up because I always felt like, when it comes to like white guys on the show, people are so quick to explain away their behavior with like, autism diagnoses and this and that, you know what I mean? Like to really try to give reason.
Justify.
Yeah, justify and soften the reason that they do the things that they do that might be considered cold towards other people. But
Mm.
I feel like Uche was not given that same kind of quote unquote grace
Mm.
by people. I noticed. Did you notice that?
I mean, now that you point it out,
Right. Paul, Zach, they always get like, kind of off-ish. White guys always get labeled autistic, but Uche is just like a narc. He's a this, he's a that. And I found that interesting.
you mean like the whole angry black man syndrome?
Yeah, I guess that's a thing. I only knew about it for women, but I didn't know, and now I'm
Nope.
seeing that there is a double standard too when it comes to men as well.
Black men get it. You know, we talk about that a lot here in the States, like when there's a pow 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 situation, because you know we have a
Mhm.
serious problem with that here in the United States. And it's a white man, it's all kind. Oh, it's mental illness.
Mental,
It's this,
always.
if it's a black man, it's a whole other situation. Put him under the jail.
Yeah, he must
But
have
yeah,
been part of a
I'm glad you
gang.
pointed that out. I didn't even think about that. I was like, oh, maybe because
It's
being a black man, I'm just the world we live in.
exactly. And I don't want to like make apologies for Uche because I really don't like him. Him and Izzy, I don't like because the way they yell at women. But I do notice there's something off with him, and people were not like running to diagnose him the way that they do with other people.
Mm.
Speaking of him, how did you feel about Aaliyah saying that he told her that she wasn't his usual type? What do you think that means, and why would she date someone who told her that?
Let's just call a thing a thing. He dated Lydia,
Yeah.
uh, a Puerto Rican woman, lighter skin, curly hair, and now we have Aaliyah, a darker skinned woman, and you know a little bit more coarse hair. Come on, we know what that was. But my thing is, I get so frustrated when these folks that are on Love Is Blind and they
Mhm.
are literally having issues with the way someone looks. If you are that hung up on someone's looks, if that's such an important detail, and I'm not saying that's wrong, then you
Mhm.
don't go on Love Is Blind. You don't
I
go
agree.
blind. You have to be open. You've tried everything. All the things that you used to like, you can't like anymore because, well, you know what? Here's the thing. Here I go twerking on the fence. Maybe
Twerk
that's
on
what the
it.
process. Maybe that's what the process and the experience is for. So you realize, you know what? Maybe I am a little bit more shallow than I thought.
It's true. You know, I feel like sometimes you try to talk yourself out of certain preferences you have. I don't have like racial preferences. My only preference is
Is that
height.
really
Like,
a thing? That's a whole
yeah,
conversation.
I swear I date men of all backgrounds, but like they have to be at least 6 feet tall. If you're any shorter
Oh
than
my
that,
God.
it
Wait.
doesn't work. I know. And I've tried. I've gone out on dates with like guys who are like, my height. I'm 5'6". I've gone out on dates with the guys who are like 5'6" to like 5'9", and it just even 5'10" doesn't really work for me. It has to be.
I
There has to be a
don't get
six.
this. There would be no future between us.
How tall are you?
5'10", 5'11" on
5'10".
a good day.
I know it's so close yet so far. For me, like I feel like that's the lowest I can go. But like 5'8" and stuff, and it's nothing wrong with them. They're great looking. It's just something about it just doesn't work for me. Do you have anything like that where you're like, I'll try it, and you try it just doesn't work?
Um, hmm. I'm really open-minded, and I understand that the
Yeah.
world is not like that. Like, I'll date a whole assortment because when people say, "Oh, I think you're just very picky," I'm like, "I'm really not picky. I'm really not that picky." I mean, I have standards though. Come
Yeah.
on.
I hope.
Look, I have standards, but at the same
Uh-huh.
time, like the whole racial preferences or religious preferences or height preferences, I don't
Yeah.
really care about height too
Yeah.
much. I don't mind if you're taller than me. I've dated all short,
Yeah.
tall. Sidebar. I remember Tinder had this sort of like glitch, and
Uh-huh.
I didn't know it until someone I went on a date with from Tinder told me, "You know, your Tinder account says that you're 5'6". I said, "What?" So when you met me, you probably like, "Oh my God, that's 5'6". So like, I don't have those
Yeah.
preferences in
Uh-huh.
regards to height or anything like that. I'm trying to
Yeah.
think, I mean, there are deal breakers. Like, I want you to have good credit, Izzy.
And we're gonna get into that. I feel like he keeps on downplaying his situation. He's like, I don't have debt, I just have bad credit. Why can't you have credit cards? I feel like he was bankrupt.
Uh, uh,
I'm just saying.
yes, because I was like, okay, I feel like, and look, I have good credit, so
Yeah.
like, however,
Mhm.
I feel as if you can fix your credit pretty easily unless you file for bankruptcy. You file for bankruptcy over $3,500.
That's what just doesn't make sense. I think he's lying. We got to add another zero. It's at least 35,000. Because if you had issues this big where you can't pay like the minimum, what is the minimum on 3,500? Like $50 a month or something like
No,
that?
I
Like,
think it's lower than that.
there's no way that was his debt. There's just no feasible way. I don't
And I
think.
think that's why Stacy was like, I can't say yes because I feel like there's still a lot unanswered. And everybody in
Mhm.
the pods knew about your debt on both sides of the pod,
Yeah.
knew about your debt. Yet the person that you chose did not. I felt like he specifically left that out. Johnny knew about his debt.
Mhm. Yep. And why do you think he left that out?
I think he knew. I think based off his conversations with her, he knew that she would not say yes. She would not move forward with him, knowing that he had bad credit.
Mm-hmm.
See, look, here's the thing. I would date someone with bad credit because I know it's fixable, but I need to know the extent of your bad credit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not marrying you either.
Right. I can't believe the amount of people who act like she is spoiled and she's so this and she's so that for refusing to marry a man with bad credit who lies about his bad credit, why he can't have credit cards, and who hasn't had a proper job yet. Like he hasn't held down a stable job. Right? He said he never held down a job for more than a couple months. You know, he had this like job. His friend got him a job just before, it was like insurance sales or something like that. And he worked like a week and a half before coming to do this show. And it's like, why would she marry him? It makes no sense. 2 Mercedes in a house of her own. She's going to marry this guy. Like, be for real, you guys. Be so for real.
Are a very important aspect. Yeah, love is blind, but we also understand that love is not going to pay the bills. Love is not enough to sustain a relationship. Finances is one of the number one causes for divorce. And you're not being honest from the jump about your finances. She was probably like, I can't trust you.
Right. And did you get the vibe? I got this vibe that Izzy still wants Stacy. Like he was being so tactile with her. And yeah, you saw it.
Yes. I think even though he's dating this other woman, I feel as if she would give him another shot, then he would go for it. But I think she's sort of moved on. She's moved on from that because I think we still have never gotten to the truth of your finances because it doesn't make sense to me. I have bad credit. I don't owe anyone, but I have bad credit. So immediately I thought to myself, oh, he must have filed for bankruptcy, which can affect your credit for several years. But damn, why would you file for bankruptcy for $3,500? I'm not, look, people probably have filed for bankruptcy for $3,500. Maybe he was told by the wrong person, oh, you should file bankruptcy and then you won't have to worry about this anymore. Instead of making some sort of deal arrangement. Look at me giving him advice for his credit situation that's already bad.
It's, you know, I feel like especially in the gig economy, he could have been doing Uber. He could have been doing, you know, whatever, Uber Eats or something like as a side hustle to make money in addition to like, you know, a full-time job to pay this off. He could have paid it off. And that's just what makes it all so suspicious. I want to know the full story. And I would feel weird as Stacy that he told his other girl and everybody else except me. It doesn't jive right there.
I think once we found out and all of that information, I think that's when she sort of was like, yeah, I love you. I love everything about you. But this was such a monumental thing that you never brought up and you never pointed out. And other people knew before me, your fiance, the person you were supposed to spend the rest of your life with. Oh, no. It was a red flag. The red flag was slapping her in the face. And I'm glad she chose the way that she did.
Me too. Team Stacy all the way there. You know, I do want to ask, do you feel like Nick and Vanessa Lachey should have kind of like held him to account for those comments he made about her age when she rejected him at the altar?
Oh, I forgot about that. I forgot about that. But now that you pointed out, they should have held him accountable for a few different reasons. I think they should have dug deeper into that, but they should also dug deeper into the finances because I think the audience is still left like, it's not making sense, Izzy. Did you file for bankruptcy? Why is your credit still bad if you don't owe anyone?
Bring us your credit report. We want to read this on air. Andy Cohen would have.
When you say bad credit, what's your credit score?
Exactly.
What is your credit score? Because if he tells me 600 and something, that's not bad credit.
Right. What's the lowest you can get?
I don't know. I don't 0. I don't know. I don't know that life. Thankfully, look, things happen, especially here in America when we don't have universal health care. So things can happen where people have bad credit. So I'm not judging him for having bad credit. I'm judging him for not giving us the full truth.
I agree.
There's hope in the story.
I completely agree. And it's kind of funny for me these days, having been on both ends. You know, when I was living in Canada, we had the credit system as well. But here in Europe, like there's no concept of it. So I wouldn't know if someone had bad credit because people don't really do things on credit like that here, right? Like, so it's very interesting.
How do you get like a loan if you wanted to get like a loan for something?
So I went through this process with a guy I was dating the other year. He wanted to buy a house. So what they did is they look at how much money you've got. And then he had a car. So they see what you're paying for that. And that's basically it. Like how much money are you bringing in? What are you paying for? How much is your rent? And then from there, they tell you how much you can afford. But there's no credit to make sure you actually pay your bills. Isn't that
Oh.
interesting?
I wonder if that works better than the system that we have now, because I feel like the system that we have now really holds people back,
Yes,
especially
very
people
restrictive.
of a certain, hue, but also
Yeah.
of certain people that of financial status, people that are poor are held
Mhm.
back because of those particular situations. And I wonder if that was set up intentionally here in America.
Mhm. I wonder too, because here, like it works. People are, getting loans for homes and cars and this, that, and the other, and they're paying them just fine
Mm.
without this system. So it would be interesting to get a bit more information about that. Now, Campfire, let's talk about the curse of the nice guy. The season's nice guy, Chris,
Oh.
turned out to be a cheater.
Oh,
Oh,
is he a cheater though? Is he a cheater?
what are you debating? He is a cheater. He was dating Johnny when he
Well,
had this new girl.
I will call him a cheater because he called himself a cheater.
Yes.
I just don't know. Were they exclusively dating? Were they boyfriend and girlfriend? Because I wasn't clear on whether they were actually together. Because for him to
Mhm.
go ghost her, it says to me that maybe you were just sort of talking to each other, you were dating. Everyone's terms for that can be really different. He though
Mhm.
says that he considered it cheating, and the way that he handled it was wrong. I can respect that. But I
Uh-huh.
still sort of confused. I was like, were you guys like dating?
She said on the show, remember? She said, we're boyfriend and girlfriend
Oh
now.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
now it makes more sense to me. See, this is why it's important to have these conversations, because I was like, were they dating? Were they boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah.
Well,
Meeting
that
the
makes it even
parents.
worse, Chris, to just disappear.
Right. Honestly, that was really, really cold hearted of him. And I feel like this is what women mean when we say, like, guys who claim to be the nice guy or whatever, like, they're not really that nice. And they could be really manipulative. And this was a perfect, like, example of that. The guys who play, like, the woe is me, the victim, the this and that. To me, they're wolves in sheep's clothing. I would
Ooh.
rather, like, an Izzy, someone who's bold about, like, being a douche than someone like this.
Well,
Now,
well, you
mhm,
think that he was trying to get back at Johnny for breaking his heart, for not, or not even necessarily get back at her, but he always sort of had some sort of resentment that he
yeah.
wasn't her number one choice.
And you know what? This is another thing. I don't know if you get like, because whenever I'm on TikTok, I get those like, yes, girls, sprinkle, sprinkle. This is your tea. Do you get that stuff?
Yo.
Oh, you need to get on sprinkle, sprinkle.
Algorithm.
I will send you the videos. It'll help you too in your dating life.
Oh,
I hope. But it's basically about like, centering yourself, decentering men, and this, that, and the other. What was your question again?
I can't remember. We were talking about Chris and his cheating ways, allegedly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was about like how like the fake nice guy act. It's just
Oh.
fake and whatnot. And I forgot. You had a really good question. I'm sorry, Campfire, but I
I can't
forgot
remember
it.
either. Lord have mercy. The live chat will remind us. The comment section will remind us.
Yes, guys, please, please, please let us know. And if you can answer Campfire's question for me, I would love to see what you guys have to say about it. And please also make sure to check out his channel, subscribe, show him a lot of support. Campfire works super hard on his content. He's daily, he's consistent. It's the Campfire YouTube channel. And if you're enjoying the stream, again, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Now, Chris, he just he wanted to really dig it in. Oh, now I know. You asked, did he do it to get back at Johnny for
Oh,
not being his number one? Yeah. And the sprinkle sprinkle girlie, she says, listen, never get with a guy who is not your number one, because if you make him wait, a guy who chases you, he's just going to continue chasing you just to play in your face because he knows that he's not your dream guy. And this was a good example of that. Like, I do
wow.
believe, yeah, if she chose him first, I don't think he would have done this.
That's why when in the pods and he said that he wasn't going to move forward with her after she had rejected him, I was like, you know what? I respect that. That's probably for the best. Because part of me,
Yeah.
there is a small part of me that's like, well, you do like her. She did like you, but you weren't her number one choice. But then she was a
Mhm.
little funny with what she told Izzy versus what she told Chris. I
Mhm.
always kind of looked at Johnny with a little bit of a side eye. I'm like, I don't know about you 100%, but I'm
Mhm.
happy that it feels like everybody on this cast ended up in some sort of relationship, talking to someone, dating someone. and Chris is apparently was talking to someone else while he was talking to Johnny, and now he's with that other person and living with that person.
He could not wait to rub that in that they're living together. He even said he doesn't regret like his road to get there. I'm like, oh, so you were fine hurting Johnny, you know? And his excuse for why he didn't just break up with Johnny, it's the typical nice guy. I'm just too nice. Like I have a hard time letting people down. So that's why I just got this other girlfriend. I couldn't break Johnny's heart. Like, oh my God. But like you said,
but it is hard. It is hard. Look, I'm gonna defend the nice guys. No, I'm gonna defend it just to give an opposite opinion. It is hard because sometimes people's reactions, you just don't know how they're going to react. Yes, you would hope people are going to react in a very nice way, but like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Well, no, sometimes people are psychotic. Sometimes people have reactions. Sometimes you see another side of people when you tell your truth and you're like, oh, that happened to me not too long ago. I told my truth and the person's like, I was like, oh, you showed your true colors. And I was like, and there it is. And there it is.
So but like, what about by text?
By text, then you know someone's gonna be like, well, he broke up with me via text.
I break up with people via text.
You know, I don't know. Look, it depends. It depends on how long you've been dating that person. If you've been dating, if you met this person on a reality show, give them a call. Meet the person. But if you just started talking to someone, it hasn't been that long, you've been on a couple of dates, then you can break up via text. But if you've been dating someone for a couple of years, Grace, you don't break up via text.
But you know, it's for the same reason. It was someone, because I had been trying to break up with him in person for a while. We were living together. And I had been trying to break up with him.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. He just wouldn't
living together, you broke up via text.
No. In person, I would tell him, I'd be like, I don't want to be with you anymore. I don't think we're a good match, you know? And he just wouldn't listen. And like, you know, when you're living together, it's complicated because you have to keep living together, you know, while you wait to get your new apartment. And in my case, I had to get a new visa. I had to go back to Canada to get a new visa. So I was like, you know what? He's not listening. And he's in the process of buying this new house. He thinks I'm going to go move with him, but I'm not, because he just won't let me go. So I like slowly started moving my things into a storage facility. I got out of Dodge. I was like, no, I don't want you to move my stuff for me. It's too much. I would feel bad. Like, we'll move it when I get back. So I go back to Canada, and as soon as I land, listen, I've been trying to tell you, but you won't listen. We're not a good match. And then
I just say,
I blocked and kept it moving.
No.
I had to
do that too. Someone told me that they text and they block. I can't remember who told me that. So one of my friends told me like when I'm done with that person, I text them what I need to say, and then I block them.
Right. Because some people think it's a negotiation or a this or that. And it's like, it's really not. Like, when someone is done with you, they're done. Like, move on. And so this had been a long time. We had been together a year and a half. And I think for like half that time, I was like, please leave me alone.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, you know what Oprah says? She says, doubt means don't. And when someone says no, and that person doesn't respect your no, they're trying to control you.
Absolutely. For that person, it was just more about not being alone versus like being with me. And it's like, it's so obvious we're not a good match. Leave me alone. Now, where are we? We are getting, this feels like a podcast episode, Campfire. I am loving it, by the way.
We're talking about relationships. Well, that's what this is for. Love is Blind is all about relationships, the highs and lows, and whether or not this experiment actually works. Do you think it works?
I do. You know, Lauren and Cameron, Brett and Tiffany, even Amber and Barnett, to me, that shows that this works if you're serious about it. And that's the thing. Like, it's like dating apps. People say dating apps don't work. It's this, it's that. But it's the types of people. It's like, they do work and they should work, but it's the types of people. The problem is that there's so many people with all of these like issues that use them. And just like Love is Blind, there's so many people with all these issues or ulterior motives that come on the show. But would you sign up for Love is Blind if it was not televised? No, if it was not televised as a matchmaking.
Oh, maybe. If it wasn't televised, maybe.
I would too.
But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like attraction isn't important to me. But what I do know, after attraction, you have to have some sort of depth. And I think people become more attractive the more you get to know them, or less, because when you get to know them, they're not that great.
That's true too. I feel that way too. I'm like, if that was the whole thing, like, like you do the pod thing, then you meet and get engaged, then you go on a vacation, then you decide after if you really can spend your life with this person, but maybe give you like 2 months instead of like 1 month or whatever, or 3 or whatever. I would like that. Just not on TV though. Someone should make a matchmaking service like that. I think a lot of people would sign up, to be honest with you. And I think that's
I
lovely.
agreed. I still miss that show, Love Match Atlanta on Bravo. I thought that was such a really good show. I wish they would have brought that back. I love seeing that whole process of matchmakers. And I think when I'm ready, I think I will get a matchmaker.
Really? I love that. I feel like if you get a matchmaker, you're going to meet people like certain caliber of people who match you.
Good credit.
That's important. Good credit. Izzy.
They check all that, but they do background checks.
So what would you have on your list for a matchmaker?
Good credit. Has employed.
Yep.
Has seen a therapist at least once or twice.
That's a good one.
Look, attraction is interesting to me because I feel like I've been attracted to so many different types over the years. So like for me, I'm like, I'd be open to it. But I mean, you can't be, slovenly. Like you have to, because even if you're not the most attractive, if you upkeep and you take care of yourself, you know what I mean? And when I say take care of yourself, it doesn't mean that you're always in the gym. More so like you take care of yourself. You bathe.
Right. You bathe, you groom yourself well, you dress well. I get you.
You wash your hands.
What are the men in New York like, Kempire? You're scaring me.
I don't know. The guys that I've dated, they do all of those things. But I'm just saying, I'm sure there are people that have dated people that don't. Like for Stacy being upset about him having plastic cups, like that wouldn't bother me. That's why you have a relationship. I'll come in. I have the good china. Get rid of these.
That would bother me. I don't think I'd be able to do it.
Why?
It just is such an ick. It's not even that. It's that Izzy says he does it because he's too lazy to wash the dishes and stuff. And I'm like, what else are you too lazy to do? Because I think a lot of domestic labor and like child stuff, like, unfairly falls on women. So if a guy's telling you right off the bat, he can't even be bothered to wash dishes, it's like, he's too lazy for me.
I've never thought about that, but Izzy has a trend. There's a couple lazy aspects to Izzy that we've seen in this season alone. So
yeah,
interesting.
Even Milton, he said that he's only washed the dishes 3 times in a year and a half that he's been married to Lydia. Like, isn't that wild to you? Like, I couldn't be married to a man like that.
I never think about these things, especially as like gay men. Look at those like social norms and things like that already sort of out the window. So I don't even think about stuff like that. Also, I haven't been in a relationship in a while. So those things, and I have a dishwasher. So
right.
I don't think about it. I'm glad that you're pointing these things out because it's important to know. And I never thought about that. I was like, well, I didn't think about that. I know I've come into a relationship and there's certain little things that I don't necessarily do as a single person, but I see that the person I'm dating does. And I'm like, well, how about this? How we try this? So I just felt like she made such a big deal about the plastic plates. But when you put it that way, I think, oh, okay, well, maybe that's what she's thinking, in regards to that.
Yeah, she doesn't want Lydia's life. I'm sorry, but Lydia cleaning up after that man. No, thank you.
Apparently, Lydia has embraced it.
We'll see how long she can embrace that for, because it sounds like a lot. But here's the thing. They both make good money. Like, get a housekeeper. I've always had a housekeeper myself, and it's not like a daily thing. She just comes in once a week, and that works for me. And even in in relationships, it's always a thing. My guys always have them too, so it's like normal. And I feel like I want that for my whole life. Like just someone who comes in, like, because that's a big, issue in relationships, right? Domestic labor and stuff. So just have someone do it, like, the heavy lifting, and just do the other day-to-day stuff, and it's fine, right?
Yeah. I mean, I have a friend that was a fight with him and his husband, and then he got a cleaner, and that's one less fight for them. And I was like, that is a lesson for me to put back here. But I have a cleaner, but she doesn't come once a week. But when you said it, I was like, should she come once a week? But I clean up myself, and no one cleans the way that you clean. So I always find myself cleaning up and just organizing after the clean. Like, just scrub the tub. Dude, that stuff I don't want to do. Scrub the tub, clean the baseboards.
Yeah, exactly. The hard stuff. I love just having that deep clean, and it helps in relationships as well. Let's not worry about that.
Yeah.
Kempire, listen, I'm sorry I lied to you. I told Kempire this would be really quick. It'd be like 30 minutes. But I just love talking to him so much. I could do this all night long. So I ran you up. I'm sorry.
No, I figured as much. I allotted the appropriate amount of time.
Good. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. Guys, I know it's been a dramatic season. Oh, I do have one more question, which is, what do you think about the Renee Carter, the way they were cut out and edited in the backgrounds of these episodes? Should they have addressed that, or were they right to brush it under the rug?
I don't know if it was more of a legal situation as opposed to them trying to brush it under the rug.
Yeah.
So you could definitely feel the emptiness of this season because just
Look at this.
the Aaliyah situation didn't work out, and now that other situation, that's icky. But at the same time, I'm just like, you felt it this season, but people were still engaged. People were still very active and talking about it. People were hitting me up. Are you going to watch this? You're going to talk about this? I'm like, okay, I guess I will. Let me make some time. But then I didn't realize about that particular story until as I was in the middle of watching it. And I was like, oh, so that explains why it's so empty. Well, we have three couples that went to Mexico, and then one drops out. So it really was such a lot of things just didn't work out.
Exactly. I hope they take this feedback and improve their other seasons moving forward. I know Love is Blind UK is dropping soon, so I will be looking forward to watching that as well. Yeah, get ready. The UK peeps, they do good reality TV, so it should be really interesting.
I just saw it when I was trying to rewatch this. There's a Love is Blind Japan. I already knew there was a Love is Blind Brazil too. I was like, oh wow.
So good. Brazil, watch it. So good.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
It's really spicy. And there's this one thing that happens at a reveal that is so shocking. You have to watch it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think it's like the last season that came out or season 2 where this happened, but it was really shocking. And it's like, oh, I guess love isn't blind.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is love blind? That's the real question. Do you believe love is blind?
For me, no. I have a lot of criteria, to be honest with you, right?
Criteria. I already know the height.
Yeah, I want a man of a particular height. He has to have like a particular he has to have a good job. Like I need a guy. I like security. I value security a lot because I have it and I worked hard to have it. So I need a guy to have it as well.
Because God forbid something happens to you, you don't have it anymore. You need to have your partner be able to hold you down.
Exactly. Like that's super important to me. I like active guys too, like guys who want to go hiking, go on long walks, travel a lot too. Cause I date guys who don't, cause here in Paris, we have so many, you can go to Belgium by car, you can go to Luxembourg, you can go here. So I had a guy I was dating, the one that I dumped by text when I went back to Canada. And he had such a nice car. And I was like, let's go to Normandy. Let's do this. Let's do that. He'd never wanted to go anywhere. He just wanted to be at home. I don't like homebodies.
What was his sign?
God, I've blocked him out of my mind. What was his sign? I'll have to text you later because I can't think of it right now.
Because I'm a homebody, but I also love to travel. So I'm like, oh, that sounds fantastic.
Right. Not even just international, but little road trips. My friends, one of my friends, they're this cute little couple. They just got together and they're always going to these little towns and stuff just outside of Paris. And I'm like, I should have been doing that with that lazy ass guy. I need a guy who wants to do this. I took him, for example, I dragged him to Versailles one time for brunch and he complained the whole time. And it was only 20 minutes from us where we were living. I'm like, we're Versailles Palace. We're having brunch. How do you complain? Oh, I'd rather be at home. I can't. And I need social guys. And he can't, they have to speak the same languages as me because this guy, him and his family, they spoke a different language. And whenever we'd go around them and their social settings, they would just be speaking this language. And I'd be left out all the time. Oh, I can't do that ever again. I'm so traumatized. Oh my God. Never again.
Multiple languages. So it had to be a very particular language.
Exactly. No, it was it was an Eastern language. And I was like, I can't learn this. It's too hard.
That's so funny. Okay. But your criteria. Okay. So those are the height, language, career, anything else?
Active, positive, social, just a really good presence. Someone you notice when he walks into a room, not the wallflower or anything like that.
You really do have good preference.
Right? See,
open. I those things don't bother me. If you're a wallflower, fantastic.
You know what? I wonder if maybe like me being like a woman, like I like have like maybe like a more traditional kind of dynamic I like, you know what I mean? So I
Mm.
wonder if like, what about you? Like in your relationships, like is there like a kind of dynamic that you like that can be affected by someone's personality or height or whatever? I don't know.
Not really. Not really, because I don't have those social norms in my head when it comes to relationships. Like, I don't feel like someone plays a particular role
Yeah.
in the relationship, especially gay relationships. I know in some
Hmm.
gay relationships, because we're not a monolith,
Yeah.
they people do have those particular roles, like this is the top or this is the bottom, blah 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 blah, and
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do this and I'm supposed to pay for that. Like, I don't feel like that. If we're in a partnership, we're in a partnership. We're
Mm, yeah.
you know what I mean? Kind of
Uh-huh.
thing. So, like, I don't have those preferences, but as I've dated and I've dated certain people, I've learned to be like, oh yeah, that doesn't necessarily work for me, and or that
Hmm.
type of personality doesn't work for me, kind of thing. But I'm still very much open. Like, I really don't have any specifics. Like, no, like that is my
Yeah,
deal breaker. But being a good person, first of
for
all,
sure. Yeah.
that's important, especially
Yeah.
when no one's watching.
Hmm.
But good finances, good credit, all those things. But I'm okay with your credit if you're working on your credit. Like, you've had a hard time for whatever reason. I need to know what that hard time was, though. Was it
Hmm.
just being irresponsible, or was it something else? Like, that's
Hmm.
what we didn't get with Izzy. It's like, we don't have a full understanding of why you have bad credit. It doesn't make any sense. You say you don't owe anyone. So what exactly? You can't get a credit card. Why, sir?
Exactly. Honesty is the best policy, you guys.
Look, another
Listen.
criteria, honest, someone that's honest.
Absolutely. Campfire, it's been so awesome chatting with you about this. Thank you so, so much for doing this with me. It's just
Thank you.
incredible to chat with you every single time, really.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Again, guys, please make sure to support Campire's YouTube channel for daily and consistent pop culture videos and hot topic videos as well. Okay, I've got the links in the description box to this video and in the title as well. That's all for now, and see you next season, guys. Bye.